Imagine entering a car that doesn't ask you to drive, doesn't surround you with buttons, and doesn't even acknowledge the idea of a steering wheel. There is no engine sound, no dashboard clutter, no traditional sense of front or back. Instead, you step into a calm, silent, beautifully crafted space that feels more like a luxury penthouse or a private jet lounge than an automobile. This was not science fiction. This was the vision behind the Aston Martin Lagonda electric sedan, one of the most ambitious and radical luxury car concepts ever created. Unveiled in 2018 as the Lagonda Vision Concept, this car represented Aston Martin's bold attempt to redefine not only electric vehicles, but the very meaning of luxury mobility. Rather than focusing on speed, performance figures, or driver engagement, Lagonda was designed to challenge everything people thought they knew about high-end cars. It asked a daring question: what if the future of luxury was not about driving at all? Lagonda itself is not a new name. The brand dates back to 1906 and has long been associated with elegance, innovation, and exclusivity. Aston Martin acquired Lagonda decades ago, and over the years the name occasionally resurfaced in limited production luxury sedans. But in 2018, Aston Martin decided to take a completely different approach. Instead of reviving Lagonda as a traditional luxury brand, the company imagined it as a standalone, all-electric, ultra-luxury marque, separate from Aston Martin's sports car DNA. The Lagonda Vision Concept was meant to be the first step into that future. From the very first glance, the exterior of the Lagonda concept made it clear that this was not a conventional car. The proportions were dramatic. A long, flowing body with a low roofline and a wide stance that gave it a commanding road presence. It had the elegance of a Rolls-Royce, the modern sharpness of a concept car, and the restraint of minimalist design. There was no aggressive styling, no oversized grilles, and no unnecessary lines. Everything felt intentional, clean, and forward-thinking. The front end was especially striking. Traditional luxury cars often rely on large, imposing grilles to communicate status. Lagonda rejected this idea entirely. Instead, it featured a smooth, closed-off front fascia, an unmistakable signal that this was a fully electric vehicle. Ultra-thin LED headlights stretched across the front, giving the car a calm yet confident expression. The lighting was designed not just for visibility, but as a visual signature, subtly emphasizing the car's width and sophistication. The side profile reinforced the sense of futuristic luxury. The body was sculpted to be aerodynamic yet elegant, with flush surfaces and carefully integrated design elements. Large wheels filled the arches, giving the car a powerful stance without appearing aggressive. One of the most theatrical elements was the use of rear-hinged suicide doors. When opened, they created a wide, uninterrupted entrance into the cabin, reinforcing the idea that this car was designed for graceful entry and exit, not hurried commutes. At the rear, the design remained minimal and elegant. Slim LED taillights echoed the front lighting signature, while the overall shape emphasized width and stability. There were no exhaust pipes, no unnecessary decorations, just a clean, modern form that looked more like a piece of modern architecture than a traditional automobile. But as radical as the exterior was, it was merely an introduction. The real revolution began once you imagined stepping inside. The interior of the Lagonda Vision Concept was where Aston Martin truly broke every rule of car design. This was not an interior built around a driver. In fact, the very idea of a driver had been removed entirely. The concept was designed as a fully autonomous vehicle, which is why it famously had no steering wheel, no pedals, and no traditional dashboard. Instead, the cabin was conceived as a luxury living space on wheels. The seating arrangement immediately set it apart from conventional cars. Rather than facing forward in rigid rows, the seats were arranged to create a lounge-like environment. Passengers could sit comfortably, face one another, and relax as if they were in a private club or a high-end living room. The emphasis was not on posture or control, but on comfort, relaxation, and social interaction. Materials played a huge role in defining the atmosphere. Instead of relying on traditional automotive leather and wood, Aston Martin showcased a new approach to luxury. The interior featured cashmere, silk, wool, and advanced recycled materials, carefully selected to feel soft, warm, and natural. The goal was to move away from the cold, technical feel of modern cars and toward something more human and calming. Lighting was subtle and carefully integrated. Rather than harsh screens dominating the cabin, ambient lighting was used to create a soothing environment. Screens were hidden within surfaces and only revealed themselves when necessary. When not in use, technology disappeared completely, allowing the interior to remain clean and uncluttered. Buttons were almost entirely eliminated. Physical controls were replaced by voice commands, gesture controls, and artificial intelligence. The car was designed to understand its passengers, to learn their preferences, anticipate their needs, and adapt accordingly. Temperature, lighting, seating positions, and even entertainment could be adjusted seamlessly without disrupting the sense of calm. Silence was another key part of the experience. As a fully electric vehicle, the Lagonda concept promised a near-silent ride. Combined with advanced sound insulation, this created an atmosphere of peace and isolation from the outside world. The idea was simple. Once inside a Lagonda, the chaos of traffic and city noise would fade away. Technologically, the car was imagined as a showcase of next-generation electric and autonomous systems. The battery pack was mounted in the floor, lowering the center of gravity and maximizing interior space. This flat-floor design allowed designers to completely rethink the cabin layout, unhindered by traditional mechanical components. Artificial intelligence was central to the concept. The car was designed to recognize individual passengers and adjust settings automatically. Over time, it would learn habits and preferences, creating a personalized experience for each occupant. This was luxury defined not by horsepower or acceleration, but by attention and intelligence. Performance, while not the main focus, was still expected to meet the standards of a high-end electric vehicle. Smooth, instant acceleration and refined ride quality were prioritized over aggressive driving dynamics. This was not a car meant to be pushed to its limits on winding roads. It was meant to glide effortlessly through cities, delivering its passengers in complete comfort. The Lagonda Vision Concept was clearly aimed at a specific type of customer: wealthy individuals who preferred to be chauffeured rather than drive themselves. This placed it directly in competition with brands like Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Mercedes-Maybach, but with a crucial difference. While those brands refined traditional luxury, Lagonda attempted to leap beyond it into something entirely new. Aston Martin's ambition was to position Lagonda as the most futuristic luxury brand in the world, one that embraced electrification, autonomy, and sustainability without compromising exclusivity. It was meant to represent the next era of luxury, where environmental responsibility and advanced technology coexist with craftsmanship and elegance. At the time of its reveal, the concept generated enormous attention. Many saw it as a bold and exciting vision of the future. Others questioned whether such a radical departure from traditional cars could ever work in the real world. But regardless of opinion, one thing was clear: the Lagonda Vision Concept was not playing it safe. However, as time passed, the reality behind the scenes began to change. Despite its ambitious vision, Aston Martin faced financial challenges and shifting priorities. Developing a standalone luxury EV brand required massive investment, and the market for ultra-luxury autonomous sedans was still uncertain. Gradually, the company began to scale back its Lagonda plans. Eventually, Aston Martin officially confirmed that the revival of the Lagonda brand had been cancelled. The vision of a fully electric Lagonda sedan would not move forward into production. The concept, once presented as the beginning of a new luxury era, became a symbol of what might have been. Instead, Aston Martin redirected its focus toward electrifying its core lineup. Rather than creating a separate Lagonda brand, the company chose to integrate electric technology into Aston Martin models themselves. Partnerships with advanced EV technology companies were announced, and plans were made for the brand's first fully electric production car, expected around 2026 to 2027. The Lagonda Vision Concept quietly faded into history, yet its impact remains significant. Even though it never reached production, the Lagonda electric sedan concept pushed boundaries and influenced how designers and manufacturers think about luxury EVs. It challenged the idea that cars must always be driven, that dashboards must be filled with screens, and that luxury must be loud or flashy. It proposed a future where cars are spaces, not machines, where the journey matters more than the act of driving. In retrospect, the Lagonda Vision Concept feels like a glimpse into a future that arrived too early. Many of its ideas, minimal interiors, sustainable materials, AI-driven personalization, and hidden technology, are now appearing across the automotive industry in more subtle forms. What once seemed extreme is slowly becoming normal. The Lagonda electric sedan stands today as a what-if masterpiece, a reminder that innovation often begins with bold ideas, even if they never reach production. It represents a moment when Aston Martin dared to imagine luxury without limits, tradition without constraints, and mobility without a steering wheel. And perhaps one day, when autonomous electric luxury cars become the norm, the Lagonda Vision Concept will be remembered not as a failure, but as a pioneer, an elegant, silent statement about where the future was always headed.